we've got the last Big 12 championship game before the conference undergoes major changes in 2024. The 9-3 Oklahoma State Cowboys are looking to play major spoiler against Texas as the Longhorns are playing in their last ever Big 12 game and looking to win the conference for the first time since 2009 and keep their college football playoff hopes alive. So, can Texas get there and await their fate on Selection Sunday, or will the Cowboys pull off the massive upset? That's what we're here to break down today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. And of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks and especially our holiday special, where for just $34.99, you get every single conference championship spread pick, every single college football bowl game spread pick, and every single NFL playoff spread pick. So all those picks for just $34.99. No other site in the country is going to give you all those picks for that low of a price. No other site is going to guarantee winnings with those picks, as we are hitting over 60% of our bets this season and have hit over 60% of our postseason bets each of the last 5 years. Got some of the best picks in the country for the lowest price in the country. We want you to take advantage of those this holiday season, win big with us, and become a member of our GE Nation. So let's take a look at this game, guys. Oklahoma State and Texas, just like we all predicted back in the preseason, right? The Big 12 was obviously a lot of fun this year. Texas was a heavy favorite, but we didn't know who that other team was going to be. Was it going to be Oklahoma? Was it going to be Kansas State, the reigning champs? Was it going to be TCU, who made the playoff last year? No, it was Oklahoma State, who had a lackluster year in 2022, looked like they were set to have a lackluster year in 2023, and then just got hot down the stretch. They beat Oklahoma, they beat Kansas State, they beat Kansas, and then last week beat BYU to clinch a spot in the championship game. And look, when Oklahoma State and Texas play each other, you know it's going to be good, right? The Cowboys have won 6 of the last 8 games against the Longhorns, including the last 2, but each of the last 6 games have been decided by 1 possession. Those games were not necessarily blowouts, and I don't think we're going to have a blowout this time around either. Take a look at the offense. Oklahoma State, man, their offense is just hit or miss. You never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates, right, as Forrest Gump would say. They had some really, really horrendous games against teams like South Alabama and UCF, both of those blowout losses. They even had a horrible first half this last week against BYU before battling back from a 24-6 deficit to win 40-34 in double overtime. So bad offensive performances there, but they had great offensive performances in games like Oklahoma and a comeback win over Houston. So you never know what you're going to get with Oklahoma State. But the one constant, the one thing you do know you're going to get is a big game from Ollie Gordon. One of the best running backs in the country. Not enough people are talking about him. Over 1,500 rushing yards this year, 20 touchdowns on the season. He had all 5 of Oklahoma State's touchdowns in their win over BYU. He has rushed for at least 120 yards in 8 of the 12 games he's played in this year, and he's rushed for at least 160 yards in 5 games this season. He is absolutely unbelievable. So while the offense may be inconsistent at times, you can usually bank on Ollie Gordon coming through and delivering for you. The Cowboys are averaging over 265 passing yards per game with Alan Bowman, who's had a whirlwind of a career from Texas Tech and to Michigan and now to Oklahoma State. But this is a guy that, while he's thrown for over 2,800 yards and 10 touchdowns, he's thrown 11 interceptions this year, has more interceptions than he has touchdowns, and he has thrown 6 of those 11 interceptions in the last 3 games. So for Oklahoma State to go into Arlington to pull off this upset, they're going to have to run the ball effectively. That's number one. You've got to be able to get the ground game going, and you've got to take good care of the football. Got to take great care of the football. You look at the Cowboys. What's a common theme for them? 9-3. What's happened in all 3 of their losses? They've averaged just 92.3 rushing yards per game. They've never had more than 131 in those 3 losses, and they've had 8 turnovers. There you go. Every other game's been different, has been better than that. Got to run, and you got to hold on to the ball. Texas. What can Texas not do, right? Texas is so good offensively. They're so efficient. 460.4 yards per game. That's what they're averaging. 272 passing yards per game. 188 rushing yards per game. The balance is so key for the Longhorns. And Quinn Ewers has been absolutely unbelievable. And his stats, honestly, would be better had he not been injured for a handful of games earlier this year. Thrown for over 2,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. He's got tons of weapons around him. 7 pass catchers with over 100 reception yards, led by Xavier Worthy, 883 yards, 5 touchdowns. Adonai Mitchell, 704 yards, 9 touchdowns. Obviously, Texas losing Jonathan Brooks was a huge loss, right? He was on fire. Brooks was killing it this year. But the running backs behind him have filled the role nicely, right? C.J. Baxter is more than capable of carrying the load. So is Jaden Blue, who had 121 rushing yards against Texas Tech in the Longhorns' 50-point victory over the Red Raiders. So Texas, despite losing one of their best players, has made up for it just fine. They're very efficient. They're very balanced. I don't think the loss is going to cripple them in this championship game, nor do I think it could cripple them in whatever postseason destination they have, whether that's a New Year's Six Bowl game or whether that is, in fact, the college football playoff. Oklahoma State, if they want to win the game, we talked about it, they got to win the running game battle. They got to run well. They got to hold on to the ball. But they've got to find a way to shut down Texas's offense, right? They've got to find a way to slow that down. I don't think they can stop it entirely, but they can at least attempt to slow it down. But the problem is the Cowboys' defense, it ain't good. Plain and simple. It's bad. They're 115th overall. They're 113th versus the pass, giving up over 250 passing yards per game. They're 104th versus the run, giving up 172 rushing yards per game. In the last 3 weeks alone, they've given up 109 points. They've allowed over 30 points 7 times this year. They've got to find a way to start getting some stops, to force some turnovers, to create some pressure, and to slow down Quinn Ewers and this Texas offense. Cowboys have 24 sacks. They've forced 20 turnovers. The Texas offensive line, shaky at times, has given up 25 sacks. That could be the Cowboys' saving grace there. If they can get enough push on that defensive line to bottle up the ground game, to get some pressure on Quinn Ewers, to force them into second and third and long situations, or force them into some turnovers. If they can do that, the Cowboys got a shot. They're going to have to play significantly better defense than they have, especially from the last 3 weeks. Because what we saw against UCF, Houston, and BYU, that definitely is not going to cut it in this championship game against the Longhorns. Texas, I have said it for well over a year now. The Texas defense, to me, is severely underrated. They've got themselves a defense. Pete Kwiatkowski has done a pretty good job during his time in Austin. They're giving up just 325 yards per game. They're giving up just 85 rushing yards per game. That is 5th in the country against the run. They're weak in the secondary, ranking 96 there, giving up over 240 passing yards per game. But I like their odds in that, right? I like the odds of saying, hey, Alan Bowman, come beat me through the air. You have to do it by yourself. The guy that has more interceptions than touchdowns, the game's on you versus we can't stop Ollie Gordon. Texas, the rushing defense has been phenomenal. If they can bottle up Ollie Gordon and make Alan Bowman win, they're going to be in a good spot. And look at Texas, what they've done over these last few weeks, right? The Longhorns, the numbers aren't skewed. They've allowed over 100 rushing yards just twice in their last 7 games. And since the Oklahoma loss, the only loss on the Longhorns record, in that loss, the Longhorns gave up 201 rushing yards. Since then, the Longhorns have allowed 100 rushing yards just once. That was last week against Texas Tech. They've given up 346 total rushing yards since that Oklahoma loss, for an average of just 57.7 rushing yards per game over the last 6 games. They've been dominant. They bottled up Iowa State. They bottled up Kansas State. They're doing it against solid teams, too, not mediocre or below average teams. So the Texas front 7 is going to bottle up Ollie Gordon. That's how you win the game. You do that and force Alan Bowman to throw, your odds to win increase exponentially. But you allow Ollie Gordon to go off, you allow him to hit that 130-yard mark, watch out. You're going to be in for a dogfight in Arlington. So what's going to happen, guys? Huge, huge game here. For Oklahoma State, you win this game, you go to a New Year's Six Bowl game, more than likely it's looking great, right? I mean, it's huge for them. Win the Big 12, and you play spoiler against Texas. Now, there's a lot of animosity among the Big 12 members that are staying, a lot of animosity against Oklahoma and Texas who are departing for the SEC. So Oklahoma State has an opportunity to end Texas playoff hopes, the ones that are still alive. They have an opportunity to send them out with a loss. It would be great for them. For Texas, you win this game. You're going to a New Year's Six Bowl game regardless, but if you can get a little bit of help, you could find your way into the college football playoff. Their hopes are not completely done. So this is a massive, massive game. A bigger game for Texas, I would say, more so than for Oklahoma State, even though both obviously would love to get a conference title on their resume. But bottom line is, I can't go against Texas. I can't go against Texas. The Longhorns, to me, are clearly the better team on both sides of the ball. The motivation is extremely, extremely high. The Longhorns have really been dominating since that loss to Oklahoma. That was a wake-up call for Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns. They have not lost since then. They've been playing fantastic football since then. And I do believe they're going to bottle up Ollie Gordon. They're going to prevent Oklahoma State's offense from truly getting going. I'm not saying the Longhorns are going to win necessarily in a massive blowout, but they will win, I'd say, rather comfortably. Texas wins their first conference title since 2009. And how about that? The last year in the Big 12, they win the conference, first one since 2009, and they will await their fate on Selection Sunday. Will the Longhorns get into the college football playoff? You got to win this and get some help. But we do believe they will win this. They just got to be cheering for everybody else to lose. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. That wraps up our conference championship predictions for conference championship weekend. Get ready for a huge weekend of college football, guys, as we get a lot of questions answered heading in to Selection Sunday. And of course, we'll have you covered every step of the way. But until then, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, including that holiday special over on thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. No one else is going to offer you picks like this or a price like that for all of our postseason picks. Go sign up and become a member of our GE Nation today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.